Okay, so part two, I got cut off. I got a call there on part one, but it's no harm to break it into two parts. And so I was just about to say that aloe vera gel you can buy from Bali, but or most of the supermarkets sell it with the vegetables in the cold section, and that's very effective. If you can touch the dogs, aloe vera gel is excellent, and it's not messy. Oi, and it's not messy. Sorry, one of the dogs messing, and so that can be good if there's old people in the house, for example, or the dog's up on the tiles a lot and the VCO can be very slippery. So in that case, I'd use aloe vera where it'll dry very quickly. It's not quite as effective as coconut oil, but that's if you are able to check up on the dog. And chulo, if you're able to check up on the dog and you're able to touch the dog, that will speed up healing and it will deal with bacteria, fungal, and help with the parasites as well, especially the coconut oil. I think it probably makes the parasites difficult for them to go around. A thing you have to be careful of with well-loved dogs, sometimes the people get a bit over enthusiastic and wash them too much. And so very well cared for dogs who have bad inflamed skin, that's often down to washing them too often. So just ask the owner how often they wash them. If it's more than once a month, that's quite possibly very likely, if it's twice a week or every day I've seen, that's probably causing the skin problem there. So you have to persuade the owners not to wash them. If they do, maybe wash them with baby shampoo, maybe wash them with a fungal, bacterial shampoo or proper dog shampoo. And the VCO or the aloe vera will be excellent to soothe the skin. So I would suggest that you talk to the owners to do that. Some owners will, some won't, but you can always do it yourself. Even doing it once will make a big difference to the dog. So in terms of, Simparica is what I recommend in Bali because it's cheaper. You can get it for between 100 and 110, sometimes it's on special, 105 to 150. Anywhere in that range is pretty good value. Easy to order from Lazada, Tokopedia, or Shopee. And Mectin is probably easier to get from there, or you can order from that pet supplies wholesalers place, Timbal Jaya Pet Shop in Denpasar. And they deliver over a certain amount. And I always find it handy to have the dog choice lamb. The dogs prefer the taste of the lamb to the beef. So if you're doing skin medicine, cooking chicken heads and rice together is probably going to be your best bet. Dogs are familiar with white rice. They love chicken. You can just pop the medicine on that. After you give the medicine, you do have to check if the dog has eaten it. Sometimes the dogs are smart, they'll spit it out. Mectin is so tiny. That's why I like the Mectin, because that's very difficult for them to spit out. It's so small. There may be street feeders around, and it's good to have a conversation with people who are street feeders. Maybe ask on Facebook, is there anyone feeding dogs in this area? Send them through the photos of dogs you treat, have a chat with them. If it's a local person who's doing a lot, generally local women, if they're doing an awful lot by themselves, it's good to try to get some donations for them. As Westerners, it's totally not allowed to try to raise donations in Bali, and it'd probably be a waste of time even if you did. So even if you tried. So I always recommend, if I meet any nice people on my travels, I always recommend, for example, the lady with the Facebook profile, Mimi Ladycat, and directly send food, and you can order directly from Timbal Jaya Pet Store. And that's a good way. There's only one thing that can happen with the bags of dog choice you get delivered and the Simparica and the Mectin. They're going to use it for the dogs. That's very simple, very straightforward, and it really makes a big difference, because it's so awful when you are willing to dedicate time and effort to go out and do some service for your local community, but you can't raise the funds to do it. Also, they'll have vet bills, and if you're in a position to clear a vet bill for them, that's amazing, because that means that they're going to an awful lot of effort. They've got to take the dog, they've got to maybe arrange for it to be caught, they've got to bring it down to the vet, they've got to check up in the vet, they've got to give them medicines. They've so much to do, and by providing them the tools to do that, that's like, of all the most effective things to do for dogs, that's probably the most effective. But what we can do is we can make sure we look after the dogs in our street. After that, on my Facebook group, there are two information sheets. I've spelt Mektin wrong, Mektin on the Indonesian version, but I have an English and Indonesian version. And I get the owners, if they're interested, to take a photograph of that. I tell them I do it once, and after that it's up to them to do it. The dogs will generally stay pretty good for a couple of years after. I've only seen one dog, of all the thousands that I've treated, I've only seen one dog lose all its hair again, gave it medicine, and about a year later it's still got all its hair. So that was only one of 5,000. So they get natural protection. This is long lasting. It improves their lives. Dogs have a fairly short life anyway. So I think it's good to make it as good a life as it possibly can be for them while we can. And sterilisation is always a good idea. You have great organisations like Bali Pet Crusaders, and talking with the street feeders and at least getting the females sterilised is a very useful thing if you're in a position to do it. If you're not, giving them a bit of food every day is great. If you can't give them food every day, maybe getting the medicine, and then every so often you see them itchy, you give them the medicine, and you give one, you won't have to give it more than once probably to a dog, but you keep an eye out for dogs as you're travelling around. Every little bit helps, and everyone in the community just caring for the dogs. This makes a massive difference, and passing on the information to others and encouraging others to do the same. Maybe showing them how to do it. Then they're knowledgeable, they feel confident doing it, they can see the results in the dogs, they get enthusiastic. It's very, very difficult to make that much good karma for euro or €2, So I feel that I should take advantage of it while I can make that much good karma and change a living being's life. And it makes a big difference to how they're treated in their family home. It makes a big difference to how they're treated on the street. If they look good, they're much more likely to get fed and not be seen as a nuisance. It makes them much calmer and easier to sterilise. So this is a really, really good way to make a difference for a living being. And also they can just sleep without scabies burrow under their skin. So that must be terrible to live like that, to not have any peace, to not have any comfort. So it is, it's a sensational way to help. It requires almost no effort, takes almost no time, and costs almost no money. And so that's a big win. And if we see dogs that are regularly struggling for food, we can maybe make sure that we stop off when we're driving in that direction and put down some food for them so they can get fattened up. And when we show a good example like that and show respect, where everybody loves us in the community, and other people are more likely to do the same. So it's a win-win, and by passing on the information, we can gradually bring up the standard of life for dogs in the community and for cats too. You can give the Mektin to cats if they have scabies. Just check the package and give it in the correct dosage. Usually a quarter given every day for 4 days is good. On the topic for puppies, where they're going to be very small, if they're eating solid food and they're covered in mange, they're probably only going to weigh about 2 kilograms. Now, that means you could divide a tablet of Simparica between 20 and 30 times, which might sound a bit tricky, but you could actually divide it into 3 pieces, divide that into 3 pieces, and divide that into 3 again. And so that's not actually that hard to do that, and it will change the puppy's life. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes it's either that or they're not going to have any hair, they're not going to have any quality of life, and they're literally crawling with fleas. So you can make a judgment call on that. You can have a good think about it. You can check carefully with the amount of medicine that you're giving. Mektin will provide some degree of protection against it, but not to the same degree as Simparica or NexGard or Bravecto will. So also Bravecto is being tested on pregnant and lactating dogs, and it's safe. And that's according to medical science. So Simparica and NexGard are chemically almost identical. Like I said, they're part of the Lanner family. So you have Bravecto's fluorolanner, Simparica is Saralanner, and NexGard is something else, Lanner. So they're almost chemically identical. So if you see a lactating dog who's completely covered in mange, guess what our puppies are going to look like? There would be no issue around giving the dog medicine. And if you don't, she's guaranteed to have major problems, and so are the puppies. So you can judge that case by case. And yes, and then just recognizing, as I said in the other video, if a dog has blackened skin, there's a chance that it was already given medicine. If it's not irritated, doesn't have black skin, you can also visually inspect for skin parasites. For scabies, you're going to see bald pink ears, rings around the eyes, maybe on the elbows, very bright pink patches there, and they're very itchy. You can tell the dogs are like real frantic itching when they got skin parasites on. The skin parasites are gone 3 hours after administering the medicine, usually. So if they're frantically itching, there's highly unlikely they've been given medicine. So that's a very straightforward, good way to tell. You can just check. And you should see sort of odd patches on dogs with skin parasites as opposed to big ball patches, scaly skin, which would indicate a fungal problem common with dogs on beaches. And so, yeah, posting the information, sharing information with people around you. But the reality of it is, there's not many people doing this. You can have a chat with the neighbours, you can have a chat with the owners of dogs, because the dogs will often wander. Most of the time, they'll have a compound, and you can ask if they were given medicine. And the names for medicine are on those information leaflets. And so that's all I can think of for now with regards to giving the dog's skin medicine. There are spot-on treatments as well. Feel free to use those, but obviously you have to touch the dog to do that. And some of them, like Frontline, don't work against scabies. They're not as efficient. So, however, the dog mightn't have scabies, so it might be the correct treatment for the dog. Again, you can see that on a case-by-case basis, but I find the Simparica and Mectin, I just carry it with me, carry a couple of bags of dog choice. If I see a dog I really need to treat and I won't eat it with the food, I go to a Warung, just get chicken and rice, because like I said, they're totally familiar with chicken and rice, and that should help you, help the dogs around. And it's a very nice thing to do, and it's a very easy thing to do, and it has a dramatically good effect on their lives and their future prospects for being welcomed on the street or in their compound and being treated with dignity. So I hope that's useful, and best of luck helping as many dogs as you come across. Thank you.